Hi, I'm Mike Shields, and I'm At the Moment. I've become this accidental creator a little bit, where I have podcast, newsletter I do twice a week. It's called Next to Media. I have probably a pretty unusual career in the fact that I've been in and around advertising for coming up on 30 years, which is insane. But I started my career on the agency side. I was a assistant media planner at a place called Amirati Pierce Lintos, which is an IPG agency that has now been merged over 6 times over. So I was in the media department, late 90s. So I was an agency guy for a while, but I knew I didn't want to do that forever. And I really I loved the industry, but I really enjoyed I liked writing the agency POVs and the decks and things like that. I did not want to negotiate with vendors and I wasn't super interested in pitching new clients. So, but that was my thing. But I went back to school to get my journalism degree while I was working. Went to NYU. It was great. I was able to stay at my job and get my degree. So I ended up back in the trades. I got a job at Media Post, and then I quickly jumped over to Media Week. Was there for a long time, which is sister pub of Ad Week at the time. Then I went to Wall Street Journal. Then I was at Business Insider, was my last real gig. And I guess around 7 or 8 years ago, the plan was I wanted to go out on my own. I had several friends who had been former journalists in this industry who became one-man comms operation. I thought I was going to become a PR guy. I thought I was going to become a comms person. Went out on my own, got a few clients, tried my hand at that, had some decent success, but it was not as natural as you might expect. And I started getting tons of work, call it consulting, but it was really helping a lot of companies in this space with thought leadership, with from content strategy to ghostwriting to speech writing, all that kind of stuff. Sort of gravitated away from the comm stuff. And then along the way, I had a client who wanted to do a podcast, and I started to do a newsletter at the same time, thinking these were just going to be projects or promote my business, and started to build a little momentum. And now I wouldn't say it's my only job. I'm still doing some consulting, but it's most of my life now, where I've become this accidental creator a little bit, where I have podcast, newsletter I do twice a week. It's called Next to Media. Very industry focused, very niche, but focused on where the audience is going, where the ad dollars are going, what are the big changes in ad tech, what's got a heavy focus on the big changes in CTV, retail media, all those kinds of things. That's a long answer to how I got here. No, it's a good question, because I think if you are a journalist or you work in this industry, your diet's going to be, especially if I'm not, maybe I'm not an old person because I'm super obsessed with this industry, and as a journalist, you're always afraid someone else beat me, right? It's I look everywhere and make sure that I didn't blow anything. So that means that used to be doing a lap around the trade websites, and then I guess let's go back 7-8 years ago. I was a much heavier Twitter user, and I would get a lot of stuff would come my way through social media, a little bit Facebook too, but I was really, for better or worse, heavily obsessed with that Twitter crowd. That was a lot of journalists, a lot of ad tech people, a lot of business leaders, and the news would come to me that way. But I would still kind of always do my lap, and then I would get certain newsletters. I feel like I can read the trades, and almost you can start to see patterns. So I can almost read things really quickly. But I do a lot of podcast listening and newsletter reading now, more than I still look at all the trades. I still look at the Journal. I still look at the Times. I read the Times in depth as a consumer, regular person, and also their business coverage. But I'm finding getting a lot more information through newsletters and podcasts. I really love The Town with Matthew Bellany. Especially when he has Lucas Shaw from Bloomberg every Monday, and it's a little bit, it's stuff that I care about for my job, my industry, but it also gets into really interesting Hollywood stuff, which I'm totally fascinated by. I think Peter Kafka's podcast is really great. The Ad Exchanger pod is great. Marketecture is good. Great. I shouldn't say good. The Rebooting, Brian Morrissey's, I also check out. The problem is there's a lot of good ones, and it's hard to fit them all in. But I will. Those are some that come to mind for industry stuff, and I'll listen to The Daily or a whole bunch of sports ones just for my own personal interest. But those are some of my favorites. Go to the gym more. Definitely take care of yourself. Go to the gym more. But I think that, honestly, just try and calm down. I think throughout your career, you are always trying to, at least for myself, spending the right amount of time investing in my career and my personal life, and trying to figure out how am I advancing and am I in the right company and where am I going. I'm not going to say that, you shouldn't strive for greatness or try and always be finding the right next move, but if you work hard, things tend to work out big picture wise. And so I just calm down a little bit.